Who's ready for a giveaway? Because it's happening. Oh yes. Yes, it is. So yeah, it's the brand new Marvel event that's coming to the Marvel Universe, and it is the first Marvel event that's actually taking place in the all-new, all-different universe besides the Civil War 2 event, which is pretty awesome. And this kind of reminds me of, like, on the scale size, almost reminds me of the Spider-Verse event, because you really invest yourself in it, and it's actually been building up to it for a while. I mean, we've got the Amazing Spider-Man issue, I think it was 19, and then we've got Amazing Spider-Man issue 20, and then we've got Dead No More issue 1. So yeah, they're kind of the issues that are sort of tying into it. So yeah, new technologies is coming into it. That is basically what it's about, and it's going to get crazy. I mean, if you really want to know some serious stuff, pick up Amazing Spider-Man issue 20, because that also ties into it, and it brings a bit more Dr. Octopus. So yeah, there's some tips. As for the front cover, it looks awesome. We've got like this realistic look to the comic. I don't know if you guys remember these Spider-Verse posters that were coming out. They looked kind of similar with like that realistic artistic look on the front covers. And also guys, if you pick up the variants that look like this, then they've basically joined together. So this is issue 1, and then the next ones are issue 2 and issue 3 and issue 4 and issue 5, etc. And they're all kind of going to like go along in a line sort of thing, and if you put them all together, then the comics will all join up. It looks awesome. I'll probably put like a picture around here somewhere so you can see what it like looks like complete. So guys, I've actually got a really interesting concept for this giveaway, and basically I want to know in the comments, out of all the characters that can be brought back in this clone conspiracy, who would you want to be brought back the most? Would it be like a Venom? I don't know, why the heck would Venom be brought back? Would you want it to be a major character that's been long gone ages ago? Who would it be? Let me know. Actually, imagine if he can bring back Ultimate characters. He could probably bring back Ultimate Peter Parker again. That would be so... I've got to keep calm. But yeah, let me know in the comments below and I'll choose a winner in the next issue review. Anyway, so this Dead No More event is tying into what's been happening in the Amazing Spider-Man comics so far, with the Jackal kind of bringing people back from the dead, and they apparently are not clones. It's really interesting though, and it's going to be a strange direction that the Marvel Universe is going to take, because will some characters stay? Just going off the front cover of the variant, we've got Gwen Stacy and Uncle Ben and everything all on the front cover, so will those characters be coming back? Like, what's going to happen? It just brings up so many questions. And so with that being said, I kind of want these questions answered. So we need to get into this review. So let's jump into it. Opening up the issue, we go over to the funeral of J. Jameson, aka Aunt May's husband, and also known as J. Jonah Jameson's father. And from the very beginning of the comic, you already get this sense of darkness within the issue. Like, you already feel sad, you know that it's a depressing time for everybody, and you know that there's going to be a few anger thrown towards Peter Parker, considering that he had the option to do certain things and he didn't. And then when he finally decided to let new technologies be used on J. Jameson, it was already too late, and that is why Peter Parker is getting blamed for everything, and obviously once again he blames himself. Now, as a comic book reader, as a huge Spider-Man fan, I'm kind of getting a little bit tired of Peter Parker blaming himself for absolutely everything. Like, we know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, we know that obviously he has great responsibilities and all this crazy stuff, but I'm not joking, he literally blames himself for everything. Even when he can manage to save someone, he still blames himself, even though it's got nothing to do with him sort of thing, and it's just like, as a comic book reader and a Spider-Man fan, I am getting a little bit tired of him blaming himself for everything, but I guess that's what makes Spider-Man so special as a comic book character, so I'll let it go, obviously. Now, as you can see on screen, Spider-Man is talking to Anna Maria about the new technologies procedure that he used on someone in Oklahoma after that massive explosion and everything, and it's nice that the comic is actually going back to that event, because we never actually figured out why Spider-Man's spider sense went off. It was just one of those things that Peter Parker knew about and he just kind of never got answered, so it's nice that this comic is addressing that matter and we're actually going to get down to the bottom of it, because it's going to be really interesting to actually see why Peter's spider sense went off when he shook his hand. It just leaves so many questions. So anyway, moving on throughout the issue, we go over to Peter Parker and Anna Maria visiting the family of the man who had new technologies work on him, and this completely took me by surprise, because I did not even think this issue would even address what's actually going on with him, but we actually see what happens when they don't take their medication every single day. And I absolutely love the whole setup of these panels and the way the story plays out when Peter and Anna Maria are there in their house, because you just feel like, as the reader of the issue, you feel like you're about to discover something that's not supposed to be discovered, and you feel like you're getting an insight into some crazy information and it's just really exciting. I also don't know if you guys just saw it there, but as Peter and Anna Marie were driving off, we did have a black figure hiding behind the tree, and it looked pretty mysterious, so I am imagining that the woman they were just speaking to is about to be murdered. So we can expect that. I've mentioned it a little bit throughout the review of this issue, but I just can't get over the tone of the comic. It's very mysterious. The whole concept around New technologies and what they're doing is mysterious, and it's all being kept very under wraps, and I love that. It's something that we need to look forward to, and it's actually building up to something which I'm hoping it pays off for. I hope it's as good as it's building up to be. And the best part about this issue for me is that Spider-Man is actually finding out. He's beginning to discover what's going on. He's beginning to actually look into things, and he's suited up as Spider-Man, and he's discovering some pretty freaky things. For instance, it looks like that is the real Jerry in that tank. All of his skin has been broken down. It's all just like his veins and everything that are there in his eyeballs, and whoever's out there was actually a clone. So the comic has just taken a crazy turn, and it's actually worse than we could have imagined. Like, I don't think I would have ever imagined anything like this where the victim is actually still alive in the tank. That's really weird. But what makes it so good is the reaction from Miles Warren when he sees Spider-Man. It's almost how Marlon saw Spider-Man from the 616 universe, because Marlon knew Spider-Man from the 616 universe was the only one that was possible to beat him. And that's how Miles Warren seems. It seems like he's scared of Spider-Man because he knows Spider-Man can put an end to New technologies single-handedly. So that's awesome. And it's especially awesome when we've got the villains of Rhino and the new Electro taking on Spider-Man and protecting New technologies, because it makes you wonder, why would they need supervillains to protect them? Obviously something crazy is going down. I just really quickly want to mention that art style in these comics. For some reason they've started changing the art style a little bit. Spider-Man is looking awesome, and so are the supervillains. I especially love the artwork on Miles Warren himself. He actually looks like a real comic book character with the outlines and the details on his face. It just looks so awesome, and it feels like a genuine comic book brought to life. It's so good. So anyway, going into the dialogue being exchanged between the characters of the villains and Spider-Man, I thought it was awesome how Spider-Man actually pointed out that because this new Electro is a new Electro, she's not used to all the old tricks of Spider-Man being able to put water on her to destroy her and stuff like that. So it's really going to be interesting to see Spider-Man fighting this new Electro in the future, because Spider-Man will have a crazy advantage over her due to the fact that she doesn't know any of her weaknesses yet. So it's just awesome. So again, that's just a really awesome surprise. And last but not least, coming up to the end of the issue, we have the biggest surprise of all, when Gwen Stacy walks through the door at the very end, revealing herself to Spider-Man. And something that I'm actually quite fond of is that she's actually wearing the clothes that she originally died in, with the purple skirt and the green coat. It's really nostalgic, and it just brings back so many memories. But then we turn over to the final page with Spider-Man's spider sense going off, and Dr. Octopus himself grabbing Spider-Man. And also, I don't know if you've noticed, but Dr. Octopus is also wearing his original Dr. Octopus costume as well. Now really quickly, I don't want to spoil anything, but if you just look at the way Dr. Octopus is speaking, he's talking almost like he's Superior Spider-Man returned. And well, funny story. I'm not going to ruin anything, but if you want to see it, then check out my Amazing Spider-Man issue 20 review. That will be up very soon. And it gives you this whole ordeal from Dr. Octopus's perspective, and you actually learn whether that Dr. Octopus who grabbed Spider-Man is the real Dr. Octopus, or a clone, or Superior Spider-Man returned, or whatever. It gets pretty crazy, and I can't wait for you guys to find out. Okay, so I completely forgot about this, but there is a bonus part to this comic, so enjoy. So going into the bonus part of the issue, which I completely forgot about, we're jumping all the way back to the death of Gwen Stacy, and I think what's the best thing about this part is that we go back to this classical art style. Obviously it's not exactly the same as the original comics, but it's more of a modern take on that classic art style, which is really cool. And the one thing that I noticed the most when reading this section of the comic is the way the characters talk, their dialogue, their communication, and basically some of the things that they do. It's just really, really old school. Especially when Spider-Man is sort of saying what he's going to do. Like usually he says it in his head, but he's sort of saying it out loud. So you can already tell that it's pretty old-fashioned, and it makes you think just how far comic books have come since that time. Now, something else that this comic has also put its spin on in this section of the comic was that we're seeing it from Gwen Stacy's perspective, her full-on perspective of the situation, and it turns out that she's actually quite negative towards the fact that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and of course, when she died, she did blame Spider-Man for her father's death still, even though it wasn't his fault. And if I remember correctly, that's not actually something that we discovered in the original comic. comic. So it turns out that Gwen Stacy, when she died, was actually having doubts about the whole thing of Peter being Spider-Man and whether it's right for him and whether she likes him anymore or loves him or whatever. And so this comic has actually done a pretty major thing because it's taken such a crucial point in Spider-Man's history and it's taken it and then added something to it, which was Gwen Stacy actually not liking Spider-Man that much anymore. So they're kind of messing with the past here a little bit with Spider-Man's crucial history. So I hope that pays off in like a good way, not a negative way with the fans, etc. But this comic also points towards another thing, and that is when Gwen Stacy's brought back as like a clone or a reanimation or whatever she is, she actually continues her thoughts from the moment she was dropped off the bridge, whereas other clones in the past didn't necessarily do that. So this sort of means that this is technically Gwen Stacy actually brought back to life, like her thought process and everything like that continued from when she died, and that's pretty weird. But as you can see, as we move through the pages, we've got Gwen Stacy being brought back, we've got Gwen Stacy's father being brought back, and it looks like they're going to help the Jackal and his plan and whatever else is going on. So it's going to be pretty scary to see what's going to happen next and what this is actually going to be leading to, especially because she knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and of course at the end of the actual Dead No More comic, Spider-Man did see that Gwen Stacy was alive, so this could mean all kinds of things, but it's always good to wait and find out. And of course the next issue is already out, so hopefully my review will be up soon. I can't wait. It got way too warm, so the jacket has been taken off. So this issue had some crazy stuff going on. Probably some of the strangest things I've ever seen in a comic in a while, and honestly, probably one of the most immersive things, because obviously you've got Dr. Octopus returning, you've got Gwen Stacy returning. We had Spider-Man finally discovering what new technology is going on about, and one of the genuine creep things that I actually got from this comic was when he discovered Jerry's eyes in that tank. Like, that was scary as hell, and it really made you wonder what was going on. Like, did they take Jerry's real eyes and put them in there and then grow a new body from him? So who's the guy that sat in the hospital bed? Like, do they kill the real person and then they make a clone of him and then replace him with the real one? Like, what is going on? It's so many questions. I just get left with so many questions. But regardless, it was so good. There was some really interesting plot points in this. That Dr. Octopus at the end, I would argue and say that that's probably not the real Dr. Octopus. But now that Amazing Spider-Man issue 20 has come out, I know who that is. And by the way, it's quite a shock. I don't want to spoil it, so you guys are going to have to check out my Amazing Spider-Man issue 20 review to truly know who Dr. Octopus really is at the end of that comic right there, because I'm not going to reveal it, but I think it's pretty obvious just from the way I'm reacting to it and everything like that. So take of it what you will. I am still concerned with the fact that Peter Parker isn't telling anybody that it was a spider-related incident as to why he didn't save Jay, because everybody thinks that Spider-Man and Peter Parker are two separate people, and Spider-Man works for Parker Industries. So why doesn't Peter Parker just say, look, Spider-Man had a really strange feeling that new technologies can't be trusted. His spider sense went off, so we're not going to do anything with new technologies to save Jay because Spider-Man doesn't trust it. That's all that Peter Parker has to say. But instead, J. Jonah Jameson hates him. Peter Parker's now got faulted relationships with Aunt May and J. Jonah Jameson. To be honest, I can imagine that Jay will be brought back using new technologies because J. Jonah Jameson wants them to do that or something. So many things could happen, guys. Just so many things. And I cannot wait. Like, I could speculate forever. So I'm just going to talk about the things that I saw in this issue. So, going back to the issue, the art styles are awesome. It was very interesting to see a more realistic take on the characters. I very much liked how dark the funeral scene was. The art looked phenomenal in that with all the shadings and everything. It was brilliant. I am a huge fan of the way Dr. Octopus looks at the end with the classic Dr. Octopus look. Going back to that 1960s Spider-Man sort of thing, I hope that's right. It was so nostalgic, and to see Gwen Stacy once again, and if I remember, like, I don't think I took too much notice, but if I remember using wait, I'm going to have a look actually, because this needs to be answered. Yeah, Gwen Stacy was in her original clothes that she died in, so it's nice to get all these classic characters, all this nostalgia coming back, and as a long-time reader of Spider-Man, it's so good. So some of the die-hard fans of Spider-Man will definitely appreciate that being included in the comic with the classic suits, classic costumes of Dr. Octopus, etc. It's really cool. But what do you guys think? Let me know what you thought in the comments about the issue in general, but not only that, but also the creepy Jerry eyes thing in that tank. And whilst you're doing that, guys, hit the like button on this video if you liked it, hit the subscribe button if you want more. Follow me on Twitter to stay up to date on this series. There'll probably be some variant comics coming out and some previews and stuff that I'll retweet on there, post up, and you can stay up to date on these videos, so it's all good. Remember, guys, don't forget about the giveaway. It's going to be announced in the next issue review. So yeah, get a comment in below and we'll see who's the winner. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.